Men.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Peter Igaga, and I'm the boldest man in Kampala. Tonight, we are going to speak into those of you who either have children who are becoming teens, have children who are teens, or you know people who have children who are teens. Now, somehow, when people become teenagers, they think they understand the world. They think they understand what is going on. And everybody else who's older than them has no idea what they're doing. If you're as old as Chris, then you will know that once upon a time you were a teen. If you're as old as Colin, you remember he had long hair and stuff like that. Things that teens do, even when he wasn't a teen. But it's part of life. As Honorable Matembe said before we got on air, the moment he got married, all that changed. But that's not why we're here tonight. We are blessed to have Honorable Dr. Matembe with us this evening. Good to have you back, as always. We're always inspired. And now we're just going to I'm going to start with loading you. Yes. I'm called a railroader. These people say I ride a boda and then I scratch people. Now, Honorable, the teens of today are growing up in a different time that a lot of us grew up in. There's this thing called technology that is taking over. They are very impressionable. They've got a lot of exposure. Should parents limit their children at least until they're 18 before they can just let them out?
Good evening, listeners. I had thought that since I'm now a grandma and I'm sitting here with these parents whose children are teens, they would be the first ones to talk. Then I would come in and see what to say. But since you have chosen me first, I would like to thank you that you are discussing this subject, because I think every parent and every grandparent out there is really worried and concerned as to what type of children we are raising in the midst of this modern technology. Now, your statement was, should they restrict them until they are teenagers?
They're 18.
They are 18. From 13, I think maybe even 20, because when does the teenager life end? You know, when I became old, and married and became a mother, that's when I got a revelation. I think it was God's revelation to me. What God showed me is that this journey of a teenager from 13 to actually 19 is a journey which can only be, I think, understood by God. Because we, who are bringing up these children, don't understand these children. Because they are in a different phase. Why? They are not children whom we call children. They are not children, actually. 13, when a child before a teenager does anything, you say, she's a child. He's a child. Now, when a mature person, one whom you call adult, does something which is not for adult, I mean, it is embarrassing, you wonder, she must do what adult do. But this journey of from 12 to 19, who is this person? They say the word teenager. What is teenage? What category of a person is? It is like, the Lord revealed to me, it is like when you are going to cross Kenya, the border of Uganda and the border of Kenya, there is what they call no man's land. The Lord revealed to me that this journey of 12 to 19 is like the no man's land. Here at the border of Uganda, there is security, is God. At the border of Kenya, there is a God. But to cross from here, Uganda, where it is guarded, to Kenya, where it is guarded, this is a dangerous no man's land.
Anything can happen.
And nobody understands it. And those people who are walking that journey do not understand themselves also. So it is such, even without modern technology, because when God revealed to me that this modern technology had not come, but I was able to say, so these are people who need protection. They need security because they don't have it. Here this is guarded, here this is guarded. The no man's land journey is a very, lions, whatever they are,
Yes.
is there. And that's why when we are bringing up our children, we became their security. We became their security because we know he's going here.
The hyenas.
The hyenas are there. The lions are there. They may call us tough.
Yes.
But we journeyed with them. Some of us who journeyed with them, the children are now appreciative. They forget the toughness. They forget all that because they were able to go cross and reach here.
Border.
When now they became adults and now they follow the rules and principles of adults, while these follow the children principles, but this no man's land need protection, need proper guidance, need very serious. And to answer your question, I want to call upon the current parents that their situation has become even worse because this area is exposed to more dangerous animals, which we don't understand. The technology, the YouTube,
Drugs.
the social, what is it?
Social media.
TikTok, Facebook, all these things. I understand that a girl may kill herself because she puts on something on Facebook, on Twitter, and nobody follows her. That they are not followed. I say, why should you be followed? You are followed going where?
Okay.
This kind of situation. So please, let me stop
Wow.
here. That this no man's land is more dangerous than it was. And I'm calling upon these current parents. You know, I'm a grandparent.
Yes.
When when the child became 13, I kept telling parents, when Annalisa becomes 13, please, I'm the one celebrate that birthday and give her to me. And so I got her, I sat with her, I explained to her this no man's land and gave her some books to read. And here, to cross from here to here, it is not easy.
Well, I mean, those are very wise and heavy words of wisdom. Now, Chris, you're a person who works with young people a lot. And somehow, these young guys prefer to open up to other people other than their parents. The Honorable has mentioned that at the back of their minds, they think they know, yet they actually know absolutely nothing. Do you think there was gold in just being old school, where you just lay down the rules and not even bother to explain and say, look, let's just follow these rules, that is it? I'll give you a simple example. We were 5 kids in the home when I grew up. But by the time I was becoming a teen, we were rebellious and all that. So my dad just laid down rules. If you broke the rules, he'd break you. Simple as that. Do you think there's gold in that?
That's a very loaded question, Peter. But also just allow me to say I'm really honored to be on set with Honorable Matembe, Dr. Matembe. And thanks a lot for the wisdom that you've shared. Being a grandma, she has tons of experience. She's now on 2.0. She did 1.0. Her children, now she's on 2.0.
Yeah.
So we need to honor that. I think that, first of all, in what you said, there's many teenagers who are listening to you right now who totally disagree with Peter. Because you said they absolutely don't know what they're doing. They think very different. And you're wrong. You're wrong in the sense that given the facts they have and the world they see, they are right. Given the facts you have and the world you see, you are right. So it's not a right or wrong. I forget the author. I think he's Raising Boys. I forget his name. But when you're raising children, when they get to the teenage, the teenager's biggest need is not money, is not much of the other drama that surrounds teenage. It's actually understanding. Every teenager wants to be understood. Because look, you're dealing with a world where things are changing pretty fast, right? That your hormones are running wild, things are growing out of you or flowing out of you that were not there for the last 12 years of your life. For example, you're getting into puberty and things like that. Your voice is cracking. There are identity issues. You want to identify with your peers. You want to be cool, whatever your generation defines as cool. And yet you want to also be honorable to your parents. There's no teenager who sets out to be rebellious. Actually, I don't know any. But most of the time, they are pushed to a point, a breaking point, and they push back and say, I'm not having any of this. In fact, the Bible says, Paul wrote to fathers and says, and you fathers, do not provoke your children to anger. So in other words, you can crack the whip to a point where a child says, okay, I'm not going to do it, do whatever you want. Right? But that's because you provoke them to anger. You push the envelope too far. Your reign has become tyrannical. And I think that most parents, what we need to do is to pull back. Now, I think that by God's grace, my wife and I, who have a 19-year-old and a 16-year-old, relatively have a good relationship with our children, right? It's not perfect, but I think it's a relatively good one. And we talk, and there is understanding. Now, of course, there are certain things which they hold back, all right? And in this world, Peter, that I keep telling you about, which used to call you utopia, because we're in the church space and there are youth pastors and people who work with them. So while I'm also working with other children, other people's children, there's someone else who's working with mine.
Oh, so you're able to share?
Yeah. So there are certain things they're not going to tell you to the detail because it's embarrassing and they honestly are seeking different opinions. Something I also learned about stages of growth, you know, from when a child is born toward teenage, toward 12, they're living in the dependence sort of phase of their lives. They depend a lot on the parents and that kind of thing. Then when what we call teenage comes, they flip. And they want to be independent. They want to try things out on their own. Yeah. Okay. So there's an
sometimes dangerous things.
Yeah, I know, but the idea, if you seek to understand them, is they want to try things out on their own. They want independence. They want to feel to see what it feels like to be an adult and make decisions.
But not take adult consequences.
Yeah, no. But what I'm saying, that's what they want. Understand where they're coming from. Now. As they journey through the treachery of that period of time, and you know they get hit sometimes, they have some successes, they begin to see the wisdom of the principles that Dr. Matembe was talking about. Because you put the guardrails, you put boundaries, okay, but they don't understand why, and that's why understanding is a key thing. So explaining to them why it is helpful for them to make the journey quickly. Yeah. But over time, so as they get like our 19-year-old now. He'll be making 20 at the end of this year. He's now become more understanding and appreciates more the things we were saying are good to do or not good to do. Yeah. But you sort of need to allow them to journey through that time from dependence to independence. And then adult life is really about interdependence. Yeah. The marriage of the two, where you know you stand on your own, but you also work with others to succeed in life.
I'll tell you what. So we do need to go into a break, but Colin, just before we do, and we're going to come back with you because you've been enjoying the biscuits so much, which is a good thing.
You also enjoy.
I don't know what it is, man.
Should teens, because it's a good watch, I've noticed it. It's a very good watch. Should teens also be held responsible for their actions? Because I'll give you an example. There was a time that those riots in the UK, and a lot of young people were rounded up and they were thrown in jail. And then there was an uproar saying that, but these are kids. They're not over 18. Why are they in jail? And the then Prime Minister of the UK said, if you are able to commit adult crimes, you should be ready to take adult punishment. Food for thought. We are here at Sanga Courts talking about teens. If you have got a teen or know a teen who's giving you a bit of help, then this show is for you. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
Men. Men.
Welcome back from the break. We are here at Sanga Courts talking about teens. Now, Colin, you, during the break, you mentioned that the real problem is not really the teens. It's about those who protect them from the reality. Yet, a lot of us were raised by those people who are very tough on us. But then when it comes to the grandchildren,
Soft gloves. Soft. Peter,
Yeah.
soft gloves.
yeah,
And I was telling Doctor, in the break, I was saying that in life, if you take actions, there'll be consequences.
yes,
But I also think that teens are not really fully developed people. I want to start sort of springboard of what Chris said. And what Chris said was that they are starting to become independent. I sort of take a different view there and say that what's happening to teens is they're finding that they're no longer completely dependent on you. That they can walk from here and go to the well, or you can send them to the shops, or you can say you go to school and take this letter to the teacher. They can be sent, they can be trusted. And I think that growth gives that sense of I can do more than people think I can, right? You're a girl, you're no longer a girl child, your body's going through changes, you're a boy. You start having muscles, your voice becomes deep, you're like, these people, they don't know me. Even me, I can bark.
yes,
Yes?
yes,
But that, as adults, we know that that's not the full-grown human experience. It takes a lot of things to shape you. My view, so knowing that the teenagers are not fully developed, I think that, and this is where I think the idea of a man comes in. Because the man has to be tender but tough. You have to be able to set the rules and set the boundaries. But also you have to be understanding and, empathetic to say, you've done, I told you not to take the actions, but now that you've taken actions, there'll be the consequences. Because that also prepares them for life, because that's what life is. Life is about actions and cause and effect and the things that you do and what that means. But also to say that over the last 100,000 years, that's how the human race has evolved. That parents raise children. And remember that the human child is a very burden, in evolutionary terms, the human child is a very expensive venture.
yeah,
You take 9 months to carry them. At any point in there, it's very dangerous, it's very precarious. Then you have to look after the little things for another 10 years, because then they can't run around, they can be picked by a lion or by a tiger in the woods. Now,
not anymore.
but now they can be picked by a predator, right?
Yeah,
Yes. So now, after they can no longer be picked by a predator, sometimes at the teenagers, they can take themselves to the predator and say, take me, because they don't want to listen to you and they're tired of the tribe and where. So I think that evolutionarily, the process has evolved in a way that we look after them, they find their independence, but ultimately for them to be able to leave the tribe and go and find the world and shape the world on their own.
yeah.
So I think there's little to alter in that process. I do, however, think my philosophy around it is, strong opinions loosely held. So around technology, I have very strong opinions, but I'm always open to change my position based on new
What are
information.
I'd love to hear them.
Of course, after the break.
There's no break.
No, we're going to come to him. Now, Honorable, I would like to hear from you about the issue of discipline. Now, usually that's where parents struggle with teens on discipline. And I am going to say this, it might get me into a bit of trouble. Should we cane? Because as a parent, you know how much, as a parent, you know the dose to give to your child. It's your child.
What dose?
Of caning.
Peter, we're not in 1925.
But it worked then.
They are going to imprison you.
It worked.
You beat a child, they take their lives. Then what?
You beat your child.
Yeah, of
But
course.
the question was not yours. Why have you jumped in?
So, okay, you first beat him. Obviously, because he's unruly.
What do you think?
For me, first of all, I want to thank the Lord for my son-in-law here. Because I agree with what he was saying when he was debating.
Nice.
Remember the last time we were here, he was still a teenager.
Even beat him.
He was like mature, but the behavior, the talking, the whatever was
Yes.
like a teenager, and I almost, exercised my
Your authority.
my
parental
toughness.
authority.
And I want to thank the Lord that my exercise led him to my home to be my
I think
son-in-law.
Rosemary is going to do a
Praise
small
the
flashback
Lord.
for us here in the show.
Yes.
For that I praise the Lord. You see, now I'm agreeing with what he put forward at first.
Yes.
Now, when we come to thank you for what you said, one thing I did not say was that for us at our time, we were like terrorists. Now, the current ones are not terrorists. The majority are not terrorists. But then they are not substituting terrorism for something else. I'm talking of majority because for you, now you see the word and so on, you are, raising up your children very well. But many of these people down there, they are busy trying to make money for the good of their children.
Of course.
While in the meantime, the children are already into hyenas, the marijuana, all these things because of the modern environment. That is my biggest challenge to the current parents, because they should have studied our terrorist way of doing things with the relationship. To have, like he was saying, have a personal relationship
But isn't that so?
with
But
your child.
But doctor,
Well,
you cannot. So you have to choose one. Either you have the time to have the relationship, or you go and make the money so the child can go to a good school. Many people, they are caught in that
you
balance.
stop there. And this will give me an opportunity to talk to everybody listening to me, who is very busy making money for the good of the child.
Yes.
I want to tell them that by prioritizing the making the money for the good of the child and having no time for this child, they have lost the child already. And I'm telling you, those who are listening to me as a mother and a grandmother, as a person who has, should I seen it all? I worked, so many, those hours, you are a minister, you are a member of parliament, you are all over the place, and after all that, the government which I was working for just threw me into the garbage of dustbin because I disagreed. Because of my integrity, I disagreed with what they were doing. I was just dropped into like a dustbin into garbage. What saved me to see that I'm still here? My family. My family containing my children who were now grown up, whom I managed to raise up and give time rather than chasing money to take care of them. And the second shelter was my God. So instead of falling into grass, I fell into God's grace and into my family's hands. And my children are very happy. Now the parents, I'm telling you, focus on money and putting your children in better schools and wonderful facilities and so on, without getting particular time to build a personal relationship with your children and guide them in the right way they should go, you are losing it. And I'm telling you, that money in the end will not even help you. You will be crying and wailing.
Let me ask you, if you're
I
making money
didn't
by...
even answer your question.
Okay,
But I hope people have heard me.
But something along those lines, if I may just say something. But you see, life is changing. Right now, and depending on where you stay, because traffic is getting worse, traffic jams are getting worse. It takes longer to get to work. People have to work longer hours. There's inflation and all that. We cannot expect people to continue living the way they used to. The reality is they need to
What
change.
do you mean, Peter? Let me tell you. People now, even those people you are saying they work, they can even work on Zoom, which was not there.
Yes.
They work at home. The modern technology, while it has its challenges and bad side, it has its good side. So for us, you are saying you don't know how much we are struggling. We are struggling much more than what you are talking about. Because we didn't have all this technology, we didn't have all this. But anyway, whether technology or no technology, every parent, because we are talking about parenting now, must put down their priorities. You must put down your priorities. What are your priorities? Because if your priorities are to work for these children, to have better children and leave them in a better way, and you think that by getting the money and the resources is the only thing that is going to make you realize that objective, you are in the wrong. If you are focusing on the future generation that you are making for yourself, your legacy, then you have got to prioritize very, very properly. You have got to find a way. You need wisdom. That's why I preach to people and say, you seek God. Because God is the one who gave you the children, is the one who gives you wisdom, is the one who will give you wisdom and understanding on how you are going to, they call it what?
Balance.
No, to
Navigate.
To navigate in the current situation and be able to get out the children that God wants you to get out. Because if you remember in Malachi, it says that God made a woman and man one so that they may raise godly offspring for him.
Okay,
First
but what
of all,
about
when you
discipline?
make Bible references, don't look at this one. You must look at this one.
I'm
This is the
looking at
pastor.
the camera.
This is
I'm
the
looking
this
at
one
the
doesn't
camera.
read, it doesn't know the
actually do
Bible.
read
I'm delivering my message to the people.
Okay, but what about the issue of discipline?
Discipline,
Yes.
you were talking of this
Caning
caning.
teenagers.
Let me tell you, we were caning, and of course caning is in accordance with the word of God.
Thank you.
Because it was Solomon, the biggest, the most wise man, by the way. Despite that Solomon misbehaved. You remember the topic we were talking at first. By the end, he went into the kingdom of God. He wrote Ecclesiastics.
Yes.
And he ended up with a wonderful preaching message. And part of his message as a wise man, he said, spare the rod and spoil the child. In other words, we don't have to interpret a rod in its meaning as a cane, as beating physically. I tell you, I can beat you spiritually. I can beat you by the word. By the word I tell you hits you like a cane. You don't have to go physical. Can I tell you what happened? Let me share your experience. For us, we were being beaten. And I had, I think, knocked over 16 years. I was around 15 or 16. And as he was talking, these teenagers, they may not understand what is going on, and we also don't understand them. They don't understand themselves, but they feel they are also, they are also people. They are also human beings. And my mother was so tough. My parents used to be so tough. I told you how they told me that if I get pregnant when I was not married, 13 years, my mother was taking me to Weranyanja and we passed via a swamp, which was so dangerous. It was such a swamp with the skeleton of vehicles which had fallen there. And I was 13 years. And she said, you know, Koburunga, if you ever get pregnant, throw yourself in this swamp.
Don't come
Because
back.
if you come, you are finished. And I looked at myself, and she had not told me how they get pregnant.
She doesn't-
And I didn't know that. And so I looked at the swamp. It was so scaring for me. I remained should I say, a holy person?
Yes.
Not with sexual things because of the swamp. I was spared by that swamp. Now I want to come to the caning.
Okay.
The swamp modeled me. Now the caning, when I was 15 or 16, he used to beat us even when we have done nothing. And this time I don't think I had done anything wrong. And she lie down. And she started beating me. I said, okay. And I used to fear beating, but this time I was tough. I didn't fear the beating, and I lay down, and in my heart, what was raising was almost maybe I get out so and beat her. That was going in my heart. And she beat so badly, I was not crying. My brother, whom I followed, was standing there watching. And when he was, I think her arm was tired. Then I said, have you finished? Now, shall we continue with this story?
Yes, we'll be right back
We shall
after the
complete
break.
that
Now,
story.
we are here at Sanga Courts having a conversation about
Yes,
teenagers
we shall
and raising
conclude that
teens.
story.
What to do and not to do. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.
Men. Men.
Welcome back from the break.
Let's
If you
conclude
have
that.
just joined us, we are having an interesting conversation about teens and what some people like the Honorable went through. Didn't your mother want to?
So I told him, he was beating, the pain, I'm paining, and yet I don't think I did anything wrong. So when I think her arm got tired. So I said, have you finished? Imagine, I looked at her, have you finished? Are you, what did I say? Are you done? And then she beat me again. And then I said, she was a Moroccan, and I said in Nyankore, Konkokur Gahat, you grow herere. That's from today.
Let me translate this for our listeners. From today, forget heaven.
Yeah, you are not going
Heaven is
there.
not for you.
And when she did that, my mother was much more angry and beat me. You say forget heaven. You see the word. The word says orherere. Orherere may mean forget it. At the same time, it means get nearer. So when he was beating me so badly, my brother said, but you, mommy, I don't understand you. I thought she was saying, you grow herere. In other words,
You
get
come
nearer
closer.
to it. Oh, my mother went into crazy. She left me now and
Just
went
you.
to chase the other one.
You who told
and
you
I
to-
got up and ran away, and we all ran away and left her like that. That was the end. She never attempted to beat me.
Peter,
again.
Yes.
can I just add something? Just say something on there. The thing about teenage, first of all, when you look at the Bible, there is no teenage. Shock of shocks.
You come from a child to adult.
From child to adult. When you look at the Israelites, who are the people who have been sort of like Bible people for the longest time, they have something, I think they call it the bar mitzvah, which is they celebrate a child from when they hit, I think, 12 or 13, round about there, and they are celebrating them becoming an adult,
No longer being a child.
no longer being a child. So for them, they have two stages:
Childhood, adult,
adulthood, no in-betweens. And here's why it's interesting. It's because when you can either have an internal locus of control or an external locus of control. External locus of control is things happen to you because of other people. You're always pointing, my father didn't do this, my mother didn't do this. It's because of my teacher. My friends are the ones who told me, Adam says it's the woman who you gave me, woman says it's the snake. So you're not taking responsibility for your actions and taking, owning the consequences of your actions. The internal locus of control says it's me. If it's bad, it was my fault. If it's good, I got it to happen or I participated in it. Okay. So when you are beating the child, you are, or the teenager, for example, you are exerting external influence, which actually has nothing close to the real world. In the real world, when someone offers a teenager or someone to smoke cigarette or drink, what they're going for is cool, fitting in with these friends. Okay? They cough through the first one or two cigarettes. They almost spit the waraji the first time or second time. But because the goal is to fit in with their friends, which is a desirable and good thing, they power through the difficult part until they get used to it because they are going for that thing. So here's a thing that we need to actually realize, that sin in the short term is pleasurable. That's why it is a temptation. Okay? In the long run, it destroys. So what you need to train the child in is to know about the consequences of life decisions, the choices, to say, when you do this, you do that. So let me give you an example. One, our children, we decided that from when they're 12, no spanking. So they all knew, on your 12th birthday, you will never, from that day, you will never be spanked again. Because you have, in our opinion, moved from a child to an adult. We don't talk or think teenage.
And you communicate to them.
And we communicated that. And so we said now, so here, every decision you make has consequences. So if you fall in love with a girl, it's because you want to marry them. Okay? So you bring a girl to us, we're asking, when is the wedding?
Even when you're
Okay.
12.
No, you've crossed 12. Now you're serious. We said we gave them mobile phones, smartphones. Now, of course, please allow me to say, raising children is a grand experiment. So you may not agree with it.
Yeah,
You may not agree with some of what we did, but I'm just sharing our story, right?
Yeah.
So then we said, you use your phone for everything good. No porn, no whatever.
No violence.
In our family, everyone has got the password to everyone's phone, including mine. Okay?
Your children have the password to your phone.
Yes, and my wife has the password to my phone, and we have the
Wife,
password
I
to
get
their
it,
phones.
but kids, why?
No, we do. So what we're trying to do
in the
Peter,
real world, in reality,
I'm just telling you what happens in our house. Is so that we are able to check in with what's going on. Just like we check in on, okay guys, here's where I've gone, this is when I'll come back. So because you're accountable as an adult, because it's a monkey see, monkey do.
So just I get this right. So you tell your son, give me your phone, I want to look at what you're doing.
Yes, so just a spot check. Just like, for example, he can pick my phone, Dad, I want to show you something, and he can just punch in the password and see whatever it is. So what that does...
Would that work for you?
No. Let me finish my story. So what that does is that...
Some of us are terrorists.
Is that it makes you... It makes the child recognize the fact that we live in a community and there's accountability. All right? Now, there are times when our kids maybe communicated something to someone that was off that we had agreed to. And we had agreed on the consequences. The consequence was, when you misuse the phone, you yourself destroy the phone. And it takes you 18 months before we allow you to get another phone. And you have to save the money to buy that phone. This first one is a gift. The next one is your money. So one of those days, one of our kids, something happened on the phone. We're like, wow, what did we say? If I do this, we're going to destroy the phone. We said, okay, bring a bucket of water. They brought a bucket of water.
But they didn't think that you are serious.
They brought a bucket of water. brand new phone. I remember at that time we had used half a mil to buy them a brand new smartphone. And they got the phone and soaked it in the bucket 3 days just to make sure it's dead. And so 18 months later, we said, it's now time to buy a phone. How much do you have? They had saved 200K. Said, okay, go and buy a phone that fits 200K. Had to buy a second, the second hand of a second hand. It's dying all the time. So by the time they work through all that for another 2 or 3 years,
they know.
Whether we are there or not, they know what it means to control what you watch on your phone.
Oh, okay.
So in other words, you're using something that's close to real life consequences, and someone is able to relate action and consequence in a real world scenario. So you don't bring upon a teenager a consequence you haven't discussed, because they need to understand why.
All right. I like that. By the way, it's very innovative. I would have been a bit more dramatic and used the hammer to smash the phone, but that is me to drive the point home. But Colin, one of the things that a lot of teens struggle with is puberty. There's a lot of them don't understand what's going on. Their bodies are changing and all that. Now, when the hormones start kicking in, they automatically become sexually active. When do you believe is a good time to have that conversation with a child and help them understand the journey they're going through?
I think that you must have the chat, the talk. Immediately you realize that the signs are coming on. Once you start to get that body odor, you start to see these things, you must have the talk. This is what's happening. This is where you're going. My observation is a lot of parents now, they never had this talk.
So they don't know how to have the talk.
Yeah, you can't give a talk that you were never given. So wait, I'm gonna. So because a lot of parents were raised through the great fear mechanism, they are in the place of either they give the same talk, which is don't do this, or they abstain from it completely. And understand, remember that the world in which we are, our children are quite different. Our children are soft, they are emotional. You say one harsh word, they don't talk to you for 2 days. People are in these relationships where the teenagers are holding them hostage. So the parents like, but I can't refuse to give it, because every time the parent thinks about enforcing a strong boundary, they're like, but what if the child stops loving me? And then they forget that yes, we're supposed to be friends, but we're also parents. As a parent, there are places, there's a line, there's a boundary you're supposed to set. And I think part of that line and part of that boundary and part of you being the adult in that relationship is then, setting the places where those conversations happen.
Yes.
I like that, Colin, you've said that start immediately. I don't like how far out your immediately is. I feel like 12 is too far. You're waiting too long.
To say.
Yes, but
Because remember you talked about the hyenas? The hyenas are going for even much earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. I had that talk, the sex talk with our son when he was 8, and our daughter when she was 5. Now you ask me why.
But they won't remember.
No, they do.
They do now.
Peter, you'll be surprised. Kids, look, there are things that your child will tell you that you did when they were 3 years old, and you think they don't know, but they know. So never, if you're an adult, look, when a child is 6 months, 8 months, get them out of your bedroom. Anyway, so what I'm saying is this. You must have age-appropriate conversations about sex with your kids. As early as 4, 5, just start the conversations. Because the world they are living in, you need to be the first person your child hears from about sex.
All right, yes, we are reaching that point when we need to wrap up the show. According to my uttermost regret, one of the best timepieces you can ever have. So
are you winding up?
Yes,
according to my watch.
But all right, but as we wind up, I'd want us to just touch very briefly on something in one word. contraception. It's a very, very thorny area. Should teens use contraception?
Peter, this is a whole show entirely. Contraception in teenagers is a show. But you know what? It's not my question.
Honorable, as a rapper.
If you're asking me, what he's saying is that this program should not end like that, because like he was explaining,
Yes.
with this modern technology, and by the way, even without modern technology, these children you see, even the babies, they know things which for us we did not know. So she did right by 8 years, by 5 years, because we get girls pregnant 9 years, 10 years, especially in those upcountry rural areas there, because parents don't know that these things are happening, and yet they are happening. The situation has so changed so much that the issues of discussing the sexual issues should be a matter not to hide anymore.
Yeah.
You know, just to make maybe people, when we are still, we had just had our baby, me and my husband. And I think you said that 8 months should get out of the bedroom. I think our firstborn was like 3, I don't know whether he was yet 3 years or 2. And of course his baby coat was here. And we are here sleeping in the morning. And for us, we are in our business, and there is this curtain, the net was covering him. And then we turned to hear, hey, what are you doing? and we looked at the curtain. He was standing in his cabin,
watching.
Dear viewers.
He had stood in his
In the
coat,
boat.
and he was what are you doing? I said, what? That
Dangerous.
the next day,
Immediately.
Out. Yes.
the other bedroom. Imagine he was the one who speaks, because he has stood in the cocotte
And he's watching the
and he
movie.
watched. He didn't speak quickly because we turned and he was like this.
Yeah.
The curtain, the
The net, mosquito net was covering, but he was seeing.
Why was
It's
he?
an absolute show.
So you don't know these people, because sexual whatever feelings and so on are inborn. So they can even be provoked by whatever it is. So the truth is that we must speak for contraceptives. That one, especially the fact that they have now become dangerous,
It's a whole different
it will
show.
be a big talk.
We'll
Next
definitely,
shot now.
definitely will. Chris, your parting shot.
I first of all want to say to every parent who's watching that raising a child is a grand experiment. But it's a grand experiment that God entrusts you with. The Bible says that children are a gift from the Lord. God gave you a gift of that child because they trust that you're going to raise them well. I'm sure that as you've listened to this conversation, there's things that you've picked. But the thing I want to say is, create boundaries and not a straight line for the child to walk in. Create boundaries and explain to the teenagers why, even children, even get into teenage, say, these are the boundaries, and demonstrate that you also live by the same boundaries. When they see you walk within the same confines, it will be easier for them to model after you, because they will question, they will check if you're doing it, and if they see you're doing it, not just saying it, but doing it, then they'll follow your example. But above all things, when you're dealing with teenagers, just remember that they're adults with a lot of time, a lot of energy, and no money yet. Think about that. They're adults with a lot of time, a lot of energy, no money yet. That's really the difference. All right? So then use your experience and your wisdom to guide them, because teenage, I think, is a myth. God bless.
Colin, your parting shot.
No, Chris. I think that when you apply some reality to Chris's view, a lot of our viewers, you can't choose the children you get. So I think that really the decision starts with choosing who you have children with. I think the honorable way is to set the path, as Chris has said, and try and live within those boundaries. Speak honestly, because I think that children don't listen to us. They imitate what we do. They see how we live, and that's how they sort of model. But that's also out of love, because they see you as the greatest person alive, and they're like, I would like to live how this person lives. And so I think that if you're afraid of that, of them imitating things that you're doing, then you have to be conscious about how you live. But that personal integrity then reflects itself in
You be their role model.
yes.
Yes. Oh, all right. Wow. Those very interesting words. Now, you've heard it from us tonight. We do have to call it a night. We expect you to stay safe, and most importantly, keep your teens safe. Have a good night. God bless. And we will see you next Tuesday at 10 p.m. only on Men.